Now, here's another way to think about personal responsibility when it comes to your career. I call it 8 to be great. Imagine 8 characteristics of the perfect customer. They have excellent credit. They got a bank full of money. They listen well. They're curious. They're interested in your product and service. They value quality, over a cheap price. Just think of all the characteristics that make up, the perfect customer. What would 8 of those characteristics be? Then I want you to consider 8 characteristics of the perfect sales professional. Educated, motivated, well-intentioned, right? Honest, hardworking. Think about all those characteristics that would be 8 characteristics of a perfect sales professional. Now, here's the thing to remember. You only need 8 of those to be great, and it can be any combination. In other words, if your customer is only a 2, then you better have 6 of the 8, positive characteristics. On the other hand, if you have a great customer, let's say they're an 8, well, then obviously you can be a lackluster sales professional and still have success. But the reality is, in most cases, your customer is going to be a 2 or a 3 or a 4. They're never going to be perfect. That means you have to have the other characteristics to make sure that you have a total of 8 to be great. Focus on yourself because you have total control over how good you are. You have 0 control over your customer. That's right. You have 0 control over whether your prospect is a 2 or an 8, but how much control do you have over being the perfect sales professional? The key is to focus on yourself, improve your skill set, your attitude, and the contents of your box. If you have 0% control over the prospect, their level of need and financial condition, and 100% control over yourself, where should you spend the most of your mental energy? Are you going to fret and complain about the prospect's characteristics over which you have no control? Or are you going to spend your precious time and energy working on making yourself the very best you can be? What this means is, it's not just how you think, it's what you were thinking about. Where's your focus? To reiterate, your life is a reflection of the contents of your box, and your box is a reflection of what you focus on. If you focus on what you can't control, you change nothing. But if you focus on what you can control, that can change everything. You must assume responsibility for what's in your box and where you focus your energy and attention. Never forget that your circumstances do not define you. Only your decisions about your circumstances will do that. Top producers focus on what they can do to improve themselves and the parts of their jobs they can influence. So be the very best you can be, and your talents and professionalism will bridge the gap with mediocre prospects. To succeed, you must program your mind to prosper in the face of any obstacle and overcome any challenge, including imperfect prospects. Focus on programming your box with what you want out of your life and career. Take the time to identify what you want to become, and what you want to contribute in your life. Take responsibility for your decisions, knowing that life is a reflection of those decisions, not your problems. And keep focused on what you can control, which is in most cases only you. Now, to summarize the power of consistency in the fear process, take the time to identify and focus on what you want. Write them out in present tense and review them for 15 minutes in your daily quiet time ritual. Allow yourself to experience the emotion as if you have already achieved these goals. Commit to taking actions that are congruent and consistent with your personal prosperity plan. Take responsibility for your decisions and keep your focus on what you can control. After creating your prosperity mindset and spending a few minutes each day programming your box for wealth, success, and prosperity, you'll become a top producer in the world of sales and business.